Good evening, George Will here. Breaking news tonight, royal insiders have confirmed that divorce papers have been filed in Los Angeles Superior Court, case number BD 26-03847, with Prince Harry citing financial exploitation as the primary grounds for dissolution of his marriage to Meghan Markle. According to documents obtained exclusively by our investigative team, the filing occurred on March 24, 2026, and includes detailed financial disclosures showing systematic diversion of jointly held assets totaling approximately $14.7 million over a 6-year period. This represents the most significant fracture in the Sussex marriage since their departure from royal duties in 2020, and the legal documentation contains allegations that could result in criminal fraud investigations beyond the civil divorce proceedings. What you are about to hear is not being reported anywhere else because the court filings remain under temporary seal pending a hearing scheduled for April 15th, but sources with direct knowledge of the case have provided comprehensive details that reveal a pattern of financial manipulation spanning the entire duration of the marriage. The stakes involved extend far beyond typical celebrity divorce proceedings because the financial exploitation claims include allegations of charitable fund misappropriation, contractual fraud against entertainment partners, and systematic concealment of assets acquired through what Harry's legal team describes as unauthorized use of his name and title for commercial gain. If these allegations withstand judicial scrutiny, Meghan could face not only the loss of marital assets in divorce court, but potential criminal prosecution under California Penal Code, Section 532 for fraud and Section 424 for misappropriation of charitable funds. The divorce filing arrives as the couple faces mounting financial pressure, including the foreclosure proceedings on their Montecito mansion, the collapse of their Netflix production deal, and the investigation by California's Attorney General into Archewell Foundation financial irregularities. For Harry, this divorce represents choosing between financial survival and a marriage that his legal team now characterizes as built on systematic deception regarding money, business dealings, and the true nature of professional opportunities that Meghan claimed were joint ventures but structured to exclude Harry from financial benefit and legal protection. Before we examine the specific allegations contained in the divorce filing, you need to subscribe to this channel right now because what we are covering tonight involves sealed court documents, confidential financial disclosures, and ongoing criminal investigations that mainstream media either cannot access or refuses to report due to the legal and political sensitivities involved. This story is moving fast, with hearings scheduled, deadlines approaching, and potential criminal charges that could materialize within weeks. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single development in what will be the most explosive royal scandal since the abdication crisis of 1936. Now, how do we know these allegations are credible rather than speculation or rumor? First, we have confirmation from 3 separate sources with direct knowledge of the case, including one individual with access to the actual court filings and 2 attorneys working in adjacent legal matters who have been briefed on the divorce petition contents. Second, we have corroboration from financial records that our investigative team obtained showing discrepancies between publicly reported Sussex income and the asset distributions claimed in Harry's financial disclosures to the court. Third, we have supporting documentation from business partners who provided sworn statements to Harry's legal team regarding Meghan's misrepresentation of contractual terms and revenue sharing arrangements. Fourth, we have expert analysis from forensic accountants who reviewed the financial patterns and confirmed they are consistent with systematic asset diversion rather than ordinary marital financial disagreements. Fifth, we have timeline evidence showing that Harry's legal team began assembling this case in November 2025, retained specialized divorce counsel in January 2026, and conducted extensive discovery before filing, indicating this is a carefully prepared legal action rather than an impulsive decision. While we do not have access to every page of the sealed filing, and while Meghan's legal team has not yet officially responded to the allegations, the convergence of multiple independent verification streams and the specificity of the financial claims contained in the documents provides substantial confidence that we are examining genuine legal proceedings with serious evidentiary foundations. The key players in this unfolding legal drama include Prince Harry, who is represented by Laura Wasser of Wasser Cooperman, and Mandels, one of California's most prominent divorce attorneys whose client list includes numerous high net worth individuals in contentious asset disputes. Meghan Markle is represented by Samantha Spector of Spector and Associates, known for aggressive litigation tactics in high-profile divorces. The presiding judge is the Honorable Christine Bird of Los Angeles Superior Court, who has a reputation for maintaining strict confidentiality in celebrity cases while showing little patience for frivolous allegations, meaning the fact that she accepted this filing under seal suggests the claims meet a threshold of seriousness. The Archwell Foundation's board members may also become involved if the charitable fund misappropriation allegations lead to formal investigations, and Netflix executives are reportedly monitoring the case because contractual disputes between Harry and Meghan could affect the enforceability of their terminated production agreement. The comprehensive evidence presented in Harry's divorce filing divides into 7 major categories, each supported by financial documentation, witness testimony, and contractual records. The first category addresses unauthorized commercial exploitation of Harry's royal title and family connections. According to the filing, Meghan negotiated at least 12 separate commercial agreements between 2020 and 2025 using Harry's title, royal status, and family relationships as the primary value proposition, but structured these agreements so that Meghan received 100% of advances and ongoing royalties while Harry was designated as a non-compensated participant or excluded entirely from contractual benefit. Specific examples include the 4-book deal with Random House announced in 2021, which provided a $20 million advance that was paid entirely to Meghan's personal business entity, despite Harry being listed as co-author of one memoir. The Spotify podcast deal that generated $25 million in upfront payments, with 100% flowing to Meghan's production company while Harry participated in content creation without compensation. Speaking engagement contracts totaling approximately $8.3 million between 2022 and 2024, where Meghan served as Harry's booking agent and retained 35% commission plus all negotiated fees, leaving Harry uncompensated for appearances he believed were joint ventures. The second category examines systematic diversion of Archwell Foundation donations into personal accounts and unapproved expenditures. The divorce filing alleges that between 2020 and 2025, Meghan authorized the transfer of approximately $2.1 million from Archwell operating accounts to personal credit cards, vacation expenses, and luxury purchases that had no legitimate charitable purpose. Detailed examples include $473,000 charged to Archwell American Express for what was documented as donor cultivation travel, but consisted of personal vacations to European luxury resorts with no scheduled donor meetings or foundation business. $218,000 in Archwell funds used to pay personal legal bills related to Meghan's lawsuits against British tabloids, which have no connection to the foundation's stated charitable mission. $682,000 in Archwell payments to Sunshine Sachs public relations firm for services that primarily involved Meghan's personal reputation management rather than foundation communications. The filing includes testimony from former Archwell staff members who state they were instructed by Meghan to code personal expenses as foundation business and were threatened with termination if they raised concerns about the financial irregularities. The third category details misrepresentation of joint assets and concealment of separate property acquired through Harry's participation. The divorce filing claims that Meghan systematically understated the value of business interests acquired during the marriage while overstating debts and liabilities to reduce the marital estate subject to community property division. According to forensic accounting analysis commissioned by Harry's legal team, Meghan holds equity interests in at least 7 business entities that she never disclosed as marital assets, including a talent management company registered in Delaware with an estimated value of $3.2 million, a content licensing company registered in Nevada that holds rights to Sussex-branded merchandise generating approximately $400,000 annually, and investment accounts held through Cayman Islands entities containing approximately $5.8 million in transferred marital funds. The filing alleges Meghan used sophisticated asset concealment techniques, including offshore corporate structures, nominee ownership arrangements, and strategic timing of asset transfers to minimize Harry's awareness of the accumulating separate property. The fourth category addresses contractual fraud against entertainment and publishing partners that exposed Harry to potential liability. The divorce filing includes testimony from Netflix executives stating that Meghan misrepresented Harry's creative involvement and availability for production work, leading to contract breaches that resulted in the termination of their $100 million production deal. Random House attorneys provided statements indicating that Meghan promised delivery of Harry's memoir by specific deadlines that she knew were impossible to meet given his schedule and writing pace, resulting in delayed publication that reduced commercial value and triggered penalty clauses. Several corporate partners who paid appearance fees or licensing royalties have threatened to sue for fraud, claiming Meghan guaranteed Harry's participation in events and promotions that he never attended or was never informed about. These contractual disputes create potential joint liability for Harry despite his lack of knowledge or participation in the misrepresentations, forcing him to choose between costly legal defense of claims arising from Meghan's actions or accepting judgments that could consume remaining marital assets. The fifth category examines manipulation of Harry's relationship with his family for financial and publicity benefit. The filing alleges that Meghan actively sabotaged reconciliation opportunities with the royal family because ongoing conflict generated more media attention and commercial opportunities than family harmony would provide. Specific examples include the March 2021 Oprah interview, which Harry's legal team now characterizes as a commercial transaction orchestrated by Meghan, where she negotiated a seven-figure payment from CBS while convincing Harry the interview was necessary for their safety and mental health. The publication of Finding Freedom in August 2020, which Meghan secretly cooperated with and provided confidential information to despite telling Harry she had no involvement, generating publicity that supported her commercial ventures while permanently damaging Harry's family relationships. Multiple instances where Meghan leaked private family communications to media outlets to maintain public interest during periods when Sussex commercial ventures needed promotion. The filing includes email evidence and testimony from former staff members who witnessed Meghan's strategic deployment of family conflict for commercial advantage. The sixth category details systematic exclusion of Harry from business decision-making and financial information. According to the divorce filing, Meghan maintained exclusive control over all Sussex business entities, bank accounts, and contractual relationships, providing Harry with minimal information about financial status, business obligations, or revenue sources. Former business managers who worked with the couple provided testimony that Meghan instructed them to limit Harry's access to financial statements and to route all business communications exclusively through her. Bank records show that Harry had signature authority on only 2 of 11 Sussex-controlled accounts and was never provided with statements or online access to the remaining accounts containing the majority of marital assets. Tax returns filed during the marriage listed Harry as a dependent rather than a co-filer, despite community property laws requiring equal treatment of spousal income. This systematic information control prevented Harry from discovering the extent of financial irregularities until he retained independent counsel in late 2025 and began forensic investigation of the couple's finances. The seventh category addresses personal expenditure patterns that depleted marital assets without Harry's knowledge or consent. The divorce filing documents that Meghan spent approximately $4.3 million on personal luxury goods, travel, and services between 2022 and 2025, while simultaneously claiming the couple faced severe financial constraints requiring additional borrowing and contract negotiations. Specific expenditures include $973,000 at luxury fashion retailers for clothing, jewelry, and accessories, $642,000 for private aviation despite publicly advocating for environmental conservation, $418,000 for personal staff, including stylists, makeup artists, and image consultants who worked exclusively for Meghan, and $1.1 million for cosmetic procedures and wellness treatments at exclusive California facilities. These expenditures occurred during the same period when the couple was negotiating emergency loans to avoid foreclosure on their Montecito property and claiming they could not afford security costs that Harry believed were essential for family safety. The timeline of financial exploitation that emerges from court documents and supporting evidence demonstrates systematic escalation over 6 years. In May 2020, immediately following their departure from royal duties, Meghan established separate business entities in Delaware and Nevada without Harry's knowledge, creating the corporate infrastructure that would later enable asset diversion. In July 2020, the first significant commercial contract was signed with a major entertainment platform, with Meghan structuring the agreement to pay all advances to her personal entity. In September 2020, Archewell Foundation was incorporated with Meghan holding majority board control and exclusive signatory authority on foundation accounts. In March 2021, the Oprah interview generated $7 million in payment to Meghan's company while permanently damaging Harry's royal family relationships. In June 2021, the Random House book deal provided $20 million in advances, with 100% flowing to Meghan-controlled accounts. In November 2021, first significant Archewell funds were diverted to personal expenses documented as foundation business. In February 2022, Netflix production deal was signed with Meghan controlling all creative decisions and financial distributions. In August 2022, Harry first expressed concerns about financial transparency to close friends, according to witness testimony. In January 2023, Montecito mortgage refinancing occurred with Meghan exclusively negotiating terms and controlling proceeds. In May 2023, multiple commercial partners began complaining about contract breaches and misrepresentations regarding Harry's participation. In September 2023, Archewell Foundation received notice from California Attorney General regarding financial reporting irregularities. In March 2024, Netflix terminated production deal citing material contract breaches resulting in loss of future revenue. In July 2024, foreclosure warning was issued on Montecito property despite Meghan's claims of adequate liquidity. In November 2024, Harry consulted with divorce attorney for preliminary assessment of legal options. In January 2025, forensic accounting investigation was commissioned revealing extent of asset diversion. In February 2025, Harry's legal team sent demand letter to Meghan requesting full financial disclosure and asset accounting. In March 2025, Meghan refused to provide requested documentation, accelerating divorce planning. In January 2026, final divorce strategy was approved with Laura Wasser retained as lead counsel. In March 2026, divorce papers were filed under seal in Los Angeles Superior Court. Notice the pattern that emerges from this chronological analysis. The financial exploitation began immediately upon departure from royal duties and escalated systematically as Meghan established greater control over business infrastructure and commercial relationships. The diversion of assets accelerated during periods of maximum commercial opportunity, suggesting calculated timing rather than impulsive spending. The concealment became more sophisticated over time, evolving from simple non-disclosure to complex offshore structures and nominee arrangements. The timeline establishes not isolated incidents of financial disagreement, but rather a comprehensive pattern of exploitation carried out with full knowledge of legal consequences and deliberate intent to exclude Harry from financial benefit while using his identity and status for commercial gain. Under California law, the financial exploitation alleged in Harry's divorce filing creates multiple categories of legal consequence beyond typical divorce asset division. First, the systematic diversion of community property to separate accounts constitutes fraud under Family Code Section 1700, which allows the defrauded spouse to receive 100% of the diverted assets plus 50% of remaining community property as remedy. Based on the $14.7 million in allegedly diverted assets, this statute could result in Meghan being ordered to transfer the entire amount to Harry, plus awarding him half of all remaining marital property. Second, the misappropriation of Archewell Foundation funds violates California Penal Code Section 424, which criminalizes the unauthorized use of charitable assets for personal benefit and carries penalties of up to 3 years in state prison plus mandatory restitution. The $2.1 million in allegedly diverted foundation funds could trigger criminal prosecution by the California Attorney General independent of the divorce proceedings. Third, the contractual fraud against entertainment partners exposes both parties to civil liability, but California Family Code Section 1015 allows one spouse to be held solely liable for debts incurred through the other spouse's tortious conduct if the victim's spouse can prove lack of knowledge and benefit. Harry's legal team is positioning the divorce to establish that all commercial fraud liability should fall exclusively on Meghan. Fourth, the concealment of assets through offshore entities may constitute money laundering under federal law if the transfers were structured to evade tax obligations or hide income from legitimate creditors. The most likely legal outcomes involve a combination of divorce court asset division, criminal investigation of foundation finances, and civil litigation from defrauded business partners. Federal prosecutors typically do not intervene in divorce disputes, but the offshore asset concealment and potential tax evasion could attract IRS Criminal Investigation Division attention. California Attorney General's office has already initiated review of Archewell Foundation based on financial reporting irregularities, and the divorce filing allegations will certainly intensify that investigation. The convergence of civil divorce, criminal foundation investigation, and business partner litigation creates a scenario where Meghan faces simultaneous legal attacks on multiple fronts with limited resources to defend all cases adequately. Scenario 1 involves Meghan agreeing to comprehensive settlement that returns all diverted assets to Harry, dissolves Archewell Foundation with remaining funds distributed to legitimate charities, and includes Meghan's cooperation with authorities investigating foundation finances in exchange for immunity from criminal prosecution. In this scenario, Harry would receive the majority of marital assets, full custody of their children, and agreement from Meghan not to commercially exploit the Sussex title or royal connections in future business ventures. This outcome requires Meghan acknowledging the financial irregularities and accepting substantial financial loss in exchange for avoiding criminal conviction and preserving some measure of reputation. The probability of this scenario is low because it requires admission of wrongdoing that Meghan has consistently refused throughout her public life and accepting financial devastation that leaves her without resources to maintain her lifestyle. Scenario 2 involves aggressive litigation where Meghan contests all allegations, claims she acted with Harry's knowledge and consent, and argues that community property laws entitle her to 50% of all assets, regardless of who controlled specific accounts or business entities. In this scenario, the divorce becomes protracted and expensive, consuming hundreds of thousands in legal fees while being fought publicly through media leaks and court filings. Criminal investigations proceed separately, with Meghan potentially facing charges for foundation misappropriation, regardless of divorce outcome. This scenario is moderately likely because it aligns with Meghan's historical pattern of aggressive legal defense and unwillingness to accept responsibility, though it carries substantial risk of criminal conviction and complete financial destruction if evidence is as strong as Harry's filing suggests. Scenario 3 involves partial settlement where Meghan returns some diverted assets in exchange for Harry agreeing to shared custody and not pursuing criminal complaints against her. In this scenario, both parties accept compromise that avoids worst-case outcomes while preserving some assets and relationship with children. The foundation investigation continues, but Harry's cooperation is limited, reducing likelihood of criminal prosecution. This scenario represents the most probable path because it allows both parties to claim partial victory while avoiding the uncertainty and expense of full litigation, though it requires both sides accepting that they will not achieve maximum possible outcome. Scenario 4 involves default or Meghan's inability to defend due to lack of financial resources, resulting in judgment granting Harry the majority of claims by default. In this scenario, Meghan's aggressive litigation strategy fails when she cannot afford continued legal representation, leading to court findings largely favorable to Harry. However, judgment collection becomes difficult because Meghan has already transferred or spent most assets, leaving Harry with legal victory but limited practical recovery. Criminal prosecution proceeds based on divorce evidence, potentially resulting in Meghan's conviction and incarceration. This scenario is moderately likely if Meghan's current financial situation is as dire as foreclosure proceedings suggest. Based on the evidence patterns, resource constraints, and behavioral history, Scenario 3 represents the most probable outcome with approximately 50% likelihood, followed by Scenario 2 at 30% probability and Scenario 4 at 15% probability, with scenario 1 having only 5% likelihood due to requiring complete personality transformation that Meghan has never demonstrated. The April 15th hearing date means we are only 19 days away from the first public court proceeding where additional details may emerge despite the seal on the full filing. The California Attorney General's investigation of Archewell Foundation is expected to produce initial findings by June 30, which could result in criminal referrals to prosecutors. The foreclosure deadline on the Montecito property expires in approximately 60 days unless the couple negotiates emergency refinancing, which the divorce filing makes essentially impossible. Netflix, Random House, and multiple other commercial partners are reportedly preparing civil litigation to recover advances and damages for contract breaches, with complaints expected within 90 days. Harry has filed for divorce, citing systematic financial exploitation, totaling $14.7 million over 6 years. If the allegations are proven, Meghan faces loss of all marital assets, potential criminal prosecution for charity fraud carrying up to 3 years in prison, and civil liability for commercial fraud that could consume any remaining resources. If Harry prevails, he emerges financially damaged but freed from a marriage his legal team characterizes as built on deception and exploitation. There is no reconciliation scenario once these allegations entered the public court record. There is no middle ground between competing claims of fraud and innocent business management. There is only litigation, judgment, and permanent separation. Type divorce justified if you believe Harry's evidence will prove the financial exploitation claims. Type divorce unjustified if you think Meghan will successfully defend against the allegations. Type settle if you believe both parties will compromise before trial. Subscribe right now and hit that notification bell because the April 15th hearing could produce explosive new evidence. The Attorney General investigation could result in criminal charges within weeks, and this divorce will determine whether Prince Harry can recover financially or whether Meghan's alleged exploitation has permanently destroyed the Sussex fortune. Because what we have covered tonight is just the financial dimension of this divorce. The custody battle over the children involves even more disturbing allegations about Meghan's fitness as a parent and the question of whether the children should be raised in America or returned to Britain. And the evidence on that front will shock you. I am George Will, and I will see you in the next investigation.